You're being lied to. By the media, by big tech, by the government. By globalist bureaucrats who are selling out America and our values and destroying our country from within. Big tech has launched an all-out assault on our freedom of speech. Americans on both sides have lost faith in our elections. And open borders leave our country vulnerable, while career politicians take our tax dollars and give them to legal immigrants who take advantage of our system. Yet our leaders are doing nothing. They're letting it happen. The media tells you how to think. Big tech reinforces the agenda. And politicians shame you if you step out of line. If you even dare to question what's going on, they'll dox you on the internet and silence your voice. That's what they did to me. I'm Ana Paulina Luna. I'm a proud American. And I'm tired of political insiders exploiting fear and propaganda to keep us divided. The left says people like me don't exist. I'm Hispanic, a female, and a veteran. The media wants to put me into a category based on my ethnicity and gender, and then tell me how to think based on my skin color. But I think for myself, and you should too. Your skin color doesn't determine how you think. Big tech tyranny affects all Americans. And without secure elections, no one can have faith in our democracy. Without secure borders, we won't have a secure country. But if you stand up against open borders or speak out against illegal immigration, they'll label you a racist. Well, guess what? Illegal is not a race. And it's not racist to want border security. In fact, it's humanitarian. The people who say building a wall is racist are the same people who ignore the human rights abuses at the border. They're hypocrites. Open borders enable human trafficking, child abuse and exploitation, drug running, organized crime, and terrorist infiltration. With an open border, people suffer on both sides. Migrants come here in search of the American dream, but they are forced to hide in the shadows. The American dream is not poverty, and it's not the welfare system. I would know. I grew up in it. Instead of spending billions of dollars on illegal handouts, we should be focusing on election integrity and protecting our First Amendment from Silicon Valley tyrants. Minorities in America are tired of being exploited by the media and by politicians who see us only for our skin color and our vote. We are not just a voting bloc that elites can manipulate for political power. We are Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Native. We are everything, but we are Americans first. America is not a racist country. It is the most diverse country in the world. Not just diversity of skin color, but diversity of ideas. My name is Ana Paulina Luna, and I'm running for Congress. It's time to elect patriots, not more open border globalists bought and paid for by political insiders. It's time that we, the people, take back our house.
Okay, welcome. You're in the War Room Battleground. May have a slight technical problem. We're going to work it. We got a lot to go through. The Bodies of Others, Naomi Wolf's blockbuster new book that is out today. There's a huge reception down in at the Willard Hotel right now. We've got an entire crew down there. Got a couple of our producers. Also have Captain Maureen Bannon. They've got an all-star cast of folks. And as soon as we're ready to go, we're going to pick that up live. I'm just looking at my producer. Yeah. As soon as we go, they're just going to cut right in and just go ahead and jump in there. So the Willard Hotel, in fact, I think it's at the Crystal Room, the historic Crystal Room down there, is got Naomi Wolf, Dr. Peter McCullough, many others that are tied up in this situation of getting the truth out to the American people about mask mandates, about the vaccines, about all of it. And this is the kickoff for her book, The Body of Others. A couple of things I want to say is that Tucker Carlson, this is what he says about the book. Naomi Wolf is one of the bravest, cleanest thinking people, clearest thinking people I know. The reason you hear the forces of repression so desperately trying to dismiss her is because she is right. That is Tucker Carlson. Dr. Paul Alexander, and Dr. Alexander is down there. We're going to try to get Dr. Alexander in a minute. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go right live to the Willard Hotel right now. We'll pick it up and we'll come back here in a few minutes. Let's go ahead.
In the state of Maine. And you can look up the website that I'm a part of, Save Our Students. And we are mobilizing these parents. We are teaching them how to do freedom of access requests. We are teaching them about the details of the things that I'm about to share with you. And we are strategizing ways for them to go and peacefully challenge their school boards, run for school board, run for political office. I'm mentoring dozens and dozens of candidates right now because we have an election coming up in November, in case nobody knows that. That's all around the country. And these are consequential elections. And so let me just give you a little idea of some of the things that we have uncovered, and a little bit of the story is in the bodies of others about Maine. And there was $411 million that was the third ESSER grant. There were three, so that's where we get almost $1 billion. And in that, there was no transparency with parents. They're wondering, why are our children forced to be masked? School boards are saying, well, it's the CDC. Well, no, it wasn't. It's in the grant. It's a requirement that the Department of Education signed. It's a contract. Masking children. Money for masking children. Money for vaccine clinics in schools. But it goes much deeper than that. It's rather nefarious. There's money to introduce all kinds of pornographic information to children in K through 12. And I just would like to say the information that is accessible to children in middle school in their libraries, because pornographic material is allowed in the libraries in the middle schools. If any of you gentlemen were out in a park sharing this information with children, you would be arrested. And our tax dollars are paying for this to be throwing. We got to throw it out. And so this is highly troubling, and parents are seeing this. There is money being put into transitioning children at kindergarten. We just published an advertisement this was in the governor's race, about a kindergarten teacher explaining to children in kindergarten, 5 years old, that doctors make mistakes when they're born. They say, well, I think this might be a girl or this might be a boy. And this is what they're introducing to our 5-year-olds. They're grooming them. They are grooming them. I'm saying that deliberately. And you remember parents teaching you about stranger danger? Well, guess what? The danger is in the schools. And they are actually desensitizing children to stranger danger. There's also information that is coming forward. Money has been put forward to help to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is an extremely broad umbrella that is very troubling. There's money being put into social workers coming into the schools. Okay, so you're now grooming these children, and now you have social workers in the middle schools who are literally sealing the deal with transitioning kids. Finally, one of the things that you all need to understand, because this all experiment started in Maine and is now national, is social emotional learning. That is the track by which all of this is delivered. It is no different than behavior modification, training a rat in a lab. And we are training parents to identify this, to be able to articulate this, take it to the school boards, and push for new policies. So that's our story in Maine.
It's tough to decipher between most states. I think there was a few states that were leading the way, pushing back against some of this fascism and tyranny. And most, frankly, were almost all falling right in line. But one is worse than almost any other in California. We had a candidate for governor here, Burnett Senham from Northern California. And I want to give her an opportunity to come up here and share a little bit about what her campaign,
Hi, Naomi. So it's a great honor to be here, and it's really lovely to meet all these beautiful maskless faces that I'm looking into right now. And it was lovely flying here without any masks around me for the most part. My name is Renette Senham, and I'm actually a 2-time mayor and councilperson from a small, tiny town in Northern California. And I stepped down after being mayor when COVID hit, ready to take my oath for the 3rd time. And instead, in July of 2020, I resigned, and I called out my city council for committing crimes against humanity. There was enough information back then to know better, and they continued that trajectory. So I'm now running for governor, and I'm running with no party affiliation because as it currently stands, it's impossible to serve the people in the party. And I'm here to serve the many, not the money. So what we've done has been going up and down the state of California for many, many months, and there's this myth out there that we're divided, and I have to tell you something. Nothing could be further from the truth. There's a rule of thumb. 80% of people agree on 90% of the issues. 80% of people agree on 90% of the issues. That is what I'm experiencing from all walks of life. And that's what we're going to serve. So the censorship is unhinged. Every day gets worse and worse. I've not been able to do Google ads and Facebook ads like my other candidates, which tell me basically I'm over the target. And the other thing is, too, is that we have actually created this campaign in such a way that we're not stupid. We know what can happen to the elections. We know they could be rigged. So we've created this campaign in such a way that it supersedes election cycles in politics. We're here actually to build a movement. And the last five months, that's it. I've traveled about 20,000 miles up and down the state of California, and we have this most remarkable base of incredible, brilliant human beings who are absolutely fed up. And these are the top 3 things they're asking for. First, they're done with Newsom. Secondly, they want to know what my party affiliation is. I say none. They say, thank God. That's usually across the board. The next thing they do is they say to me, all we want are solutions. That's it. We just want solutions. I'm like, great, because I'm a solutionarian. So we're building a momentum here, and I tell people don't get attached to the battle. This is a war that we're in. Whether we win the election or not, this campaign is going to supersede it. How? We have a beautiful 30-page contract with Californians. I'm ready to put the 2nd iteration up tomorrow on my electronet.com website, and is basically creating an economy based upon restoration and healing, and restoring our local economies as well. But we're building this campaign in such a way that if I don't even make it into the primary, we're going to continue. We're going to take key elements of this campaign and this contract with Californians, and we're going to actually put it before the voters in a referendum. We're going to actually teach the voters of California how to take the reins back and take control of their own future. This whole entire, by the way, campaign is based upon what's known as the 7-generation principle. Every decision we make today should serve 7 generations from now. As an elected official, I've been asking for years and years, what's my goal? How do you measure me and my leadership and the decisions I make? And I'm asking every leader in the state of California, I want to know, how are you making and basing your decisions? What are you basing them upon? And we're doing it for the children's children, because right now we have robbed them of their future. So I want to say thank you so much, Naomi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's so beautiful to see the change makers in this world. And I look forward to meeting all face-to-face in a matter of a few minutes. Thank you very much.
I think it's incredibly important that we highlight people that have been on the front lines, and especially, a lot of us have scars from the battles from the Trump administration, especially the personnel front. And Peter Navarro's here, and I think he can speak to those battles inside the White House. And I think a lot of the personnel problems were the reason we had the response that we did. But I want to bring up someone right now, Dr. Paul Alexander, who was an advisor to HHS and was personally battling the CDC and these other bureaucrats who Trump would come out and say one thing, and this happened all the time on issue after issue. I think Colonel McGregor can say the same thing on Afghanistan, who's here. When Trump wanted to pull out of Afghanistan, he'd say one thing, and then they go and they do the exact opposite, or they just ignore him. And that's what we now call the deep state or the uniparty, whatever you want to call it. And so I want to let Dr. Alexander share kind of his experience and just say that we really appreciate your service and continued service to our country. So come on up.
Hi guys, how are you? Well, first of all, it's such a privilege and an honor to be speaking next to Naomi, Dr. Wolf. We had reached out to her maybe about 6 to 8 months ago. Myself, I reached out first to try and see if we could get a conversation on the other side, because we were mainly dealing with the persons in our camp, in terms of we were battling the lockdowns, the vaccines, the adverse effects. And I was surprised as to how open she was to interview myself, Dr. Harvey Risch, Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Howard Tenenbaum, and she interviewed us. And look, Naomi could have stood at the side. She didn't need to do this because she's taken a lot of risks and a lot of hits. Like myself, like Navarro, like McCullough, Risch, all of us. Things is, we've been cancelled because we've been battling this from day one. And yes, it was a very difficult time in the Trump administration. I had the good honor and privilege of meeting Dr. Navarro in the White House, myself, on particular issues I can't discuss here. But remarkable individual, more brilliant than I even realized until I got audience. Look, these lockdowns failed. We looked at all of the science on all of the lockdowns for over 2 years. We found nowhere in this entire world that any lockdown, any school closure, any business closure, any mask mandate, any shelter in place, no evidence anywhere in the world that any COVID restrictive policy worked. They all failed, catastrophic failures, and they costed a lot of collateral damage. We were getting reports in the administration coming up from the States that young people in America, business owners, people who were laid off, little children, we had parents going to the emergency room with their limp child in their arms, begging the ER doctor to help us. We think we may have killed our child. We have been locked out, no income. We've been like this for over a year. We've been beating each other, wife beating husband, husband beating wife. And we think today we beat the child to a frazzle. Help us, he's unresponsive. We had that information and Trump had it. That is why every time you saw Trump on the podium, every time you saw him look back at Fauci and Birx, that was real. Atlas was fighting them behind the scenes. Navarro, myself, I was battling CDC and NIH. Trump fought them. They, the CDC, NIH, the teachers unions, fought Trump daily. But what you saw was real. What you actually saw was real. And today, we have a situation where we look at the landscape and we could see that the lockdowns have failed, and we see that the vaccines today are largely ineffective. It's failed on the Omicron variant, and it's not properly safe. Now we have the FDA making a push with Pfizer and Moderna to vaccinate our children from about June the 7th. So this is the battle. This is the hill that parents must stand on today. This is our hot gates. This is our Thermopylae. This is where we hold them, and this is where we fight them. And this is where people like Steve Bannon have been on the war room with him, remarkable individual. This is where people like him have to help us still wage this battle. And I would say this, that I want to ask Dr. Wolf, Naomi, why was it that when I reached out to you, McCullough and stuff, you were so willing to interview us? Because we were down in the trenches. And the thing is that Naomi could have stayed on her side and not joined this battle. But now she's one of our most potent tips of the spears. And she's a vicious fighter. And I myself am very honored and privileged to be here. I have met people like her husband. I think he's a very influential person behind her. I'm very grateful to his role wherever he is in here. And I want to ask you, why did you reciprocate to us?
I love that. I love it. So thank you, Dr. Alexander. Can you all hear me? Right. I both love and hate that question. it makes me sad because I responded to you because I checked your CV and Dr. Rish's and Dr. Tenenbaum's and Dr. McCullough's, and you are all highly credentialed and credible, and I'm a reporter, so there should be no reason I would not listen to you. And then that took me on a journey that truly, again, shocked me as a reporter, because what you were saying was so important. You actually have, you may not know this, a chapter in this book. All of you, that interview is in this book. And it was so significant. Everything you warned about has sadly come true. But where I was just doing what I've been trained to do for 35 years, which is talk to credible people about matters of public import. It shouldn't be that weird and marginal. And strangely, that catapulted me into this other world in which those of us who are trying to maintain Enlightenment values of real reporting, real medicine, real politics, are treated as if we're marginal and crazy. But that's why I took your call.
Look, I don't want to take any, I don't want to stay much longer. And I think I said what I had to say. I think we're very grateful. We're very grateful. There are a lot of good people, and I will let them come to the floor now. And it's been an honor to be connected to this COVID battle with McCullough, Rish, these guys, Zelenko, etc. And we're gonna keep in this fight. We're gonna continue. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Dr. Alexander. So finally, we're going to bring up Dr. McCullough, and I think everyone that's been following this the last year knows Dr. McCullough, and I think, Naomi, you brought up a very good point, because how insulting it is to doctors like Dr. McCullough, Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Paul Merrick, Dr. Alexander, some of the most highly credentialed, published doctors in their fields, and to label them conspiracy theorists and dismiss everything they've done throughout their entire career because it doesn't go along with the narrative.
Before we do, may I ask a favor?
Yes.
I'm so excited to start, but before we do, I have a favor to ask. The 3,000 War Room Daily Clout research volunteers, some of them are here, some of the most distinguished researchers and project manager Amy Kelly, Craig Klein, who launched the project, and we've got Captain Bannon representing her family, who would like to say a few words of thanks to them before we begin. And with your okay, Dr. McCullough, I'd like that to happen. Sure. Some of them have come a long way. Thank you.
So I just wanted to thank everyone on behalf of the War Room posse that has volunteered to go through these documents, because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to push this out to the rest of the world, and no one would know what is going on. So without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do this. So we greatly appreciate it at the War Room, and I know we greatly appreciate you. So thank you guys.
So I want to say that a rising tide lifts all boats, and any book, there's all these different books have something to contribute. Dr. Kennedy, not Dr. Kennedy, but Bobby Kennedy's book, an incredibly important book. Naomi's book that approaches it from a whole nother angle, which is really going to stand the test of time. It's about talking about destroying human connection, human relationships. And then Dr. McCullough and John Leake's book that just came out too, called The Courage to Face COVID-19. So another very important read. And we're talking about maybe we'll come up with a package deal with the 3 books later this summer. So anyway, I'll let Dr. McCullough come up, and then we'll have a short question and answer following their discussion. And then you can get back to mingling. Thank you.
Wow, such an honor to be here, and thanks to each and every one of you for attending, and on behalf of Dr. Wolf, join us in, I think, a real celebration, of clarity and understanding that something is in the minds of people right now all over the world at the same time that is not cohesive with rational thinking. And that's the reason why books like this are coming out, and it's very important. This is the biggest crisis of our times. This is going to make wars look small in the end. Very small. There are very few books. There are very few contemporary works where people are exploring the issues that are at hand right now with the pandemic, the origins of the pandemic, how it's played out, and then the response and the consequences of the responses to each and every one of us and to our families and to our social circles. It's so critically important. I've checked. There's no Moderna rally on the other side of town. There's no vaccine celebration going on down the street. There's something very dark going on in the world. And it can't be Democrat, it can't be Republican, it can't be any pharmaceutical company, because it's just as dark in other parts of the world, and it's related to the Sinovac vaccine. And it's very dark in other parts of the world where individuals have been across the board denied compassionate care. Denied compassionate care. For the first time, human beings in our generation are turning their backs on one another. That is in the minds of people, and it started at the beginning of the pandemic as we know it. Some historians believe the foundations were building all along for quite some time. Many believe it's way bigger than COVID or SARS-CoV-2, that it involves a whole series of destabilizing and disturbing events and thought patterns that are in the minds of people at the same time all over the world. And one of the important things in this book that is a principle is the principle of autonomy. The fundamental right that you have over your body. The fundamental right that you decide what happens to your body. That is on the table right now. For the first time in your life, it's on the table. It's been said that there's no greater loss of freedom than to put a man or a woman in a prison block, that they have lost all their freedoms. They have a life sentence. I can think of one more. How about shove a pill down their throat? How about jab a needle in their arm? Or make them beg. Make them beg to keep their job or otherwise take this needle. Think about that. That's the greatest loss of a fundamental right, is losing your personal autonomy. And the title of the book is The Bodies of Others. Individuals are now making decisions about the bodies of others, and importantly, our most vulnerable, our children, our disabled, are people who can't make the decisions for themselves. It's happening. It's happening. And there is a small nucleus of people worldwide who from the beginning understood something was wrong. They knew it from the beginning. They instinctually knew it didn't make sense. It did not add up from the very beginning. My co-author, John Leake, uses the term implausibilities. There were implausibilities that were presented. That the virus, as we knew it at the time, SARS-CoV-2, was unassailable. Nothing could be used to treat it. No one could propose a treatment. In fact, any potential treatments, and Peter Navarro will tell you this, were actually stockpiled. Originally in an intent to provide it to the population, then later on to actually sequester it so it wouldn't be distributed to the population. And then approach after approach were undermined. Even things so simple as a nasal wash of iodine or hydrogen peroxide undermined in the medical community. Even something so high-tech as a monoclonal antibody that met every grade of Operation Warp Speed, made every grade of biopharmaceutical excellence, should have been the pride of two administrations, and no one knows where these antibodies are. Where are they? Governor DeSantis is pulling his hair out. How do I get antibodies to the seniors in Florida? I never thought as a doctor I'd be able to prescribe a high-tech antiviral monoclonal antibody that was safe and effective, and yet monoclonal antibodies were suppressed. And one after another were taken off the market because of theoretical resistance to the mutating virus. Yet the vaccines, which had proven antigenic escape and proven loss of failure against these mutations, were kept on the market full steam. So the monoclonal antibodies, which could help a sick person get through the illness, were withdrawn out of theoretical concerns of mutational resistance, but the vaccines went full steam. And now, even undermining of Pfizer's drug, Paxlovid, now there's a steady stream of emails to the doctors about Paxlovid escape and rebound afterwards. I was on, probably some of you saw myself and Harvey Risch, who's here on Fox News recently, about Paxlovid escape. Merck's got a new drug, no word of it. Now there's a failed prevention study with Paxlovid that's being undermined. I will tell you, everything in this pandemic is undermined except for one class, and one class only. It's the vaccines. And then when CEPI, the Center for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovation, which came together out of the World Economic Forum and the Gates Foundation, when they put together their business plan for pandemics in 2017, 63 pages, it was a business plan that the response to a pandemic was going to be a vaccine and nothing else. Nothing else. No mention of treatment. So believe me, for this pandemic, there will be no mention of treatment. For the next one, there'll be no mention of treatment. There will only be a mention of vaccines. In the United States, the vaccines were advertised on the phone trees of CVS and Walgreens in October before the clinical trials were ever done. It was going to be a needle in every arm at all costs, whether they worked or didn't work. What we've seen is a coalescence of very powerful entities in the world and an opportunity for a new world order or a one world government through the avenue of an emergency pandemic and through the means of public health. And it's being executed before our very eyes, and everything is in the open. There's no secret memos. When the book was written, The Great Reset, an opportunity to reset world order, it was meant by the author to do so. So books like this are the countervailing view, and thank goodness we have a countervailing view. Can you imagine? There are very few countervailing voices. And when I meet with people all the time, they say, Dr. McCullough, I'm so glad you're out there. You're the tip of the spear, but I want to stay in the sidelines. I want to stay behind the scenes. Thank goodness for Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon and Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson and Jan Yakovic. Thank goodness for courageous journalists. These were the same courageous journalists. They were the same ones. Can you imagine the courageous journalist in nascent Nazi Germany? Can you imagine how much guts it took to report the disturbing changes that were happening as the Third Reich emanated its power and its control and its propaganda upon the German population? Can you imagine? Can you imagine the guts that it took? It took guts for you to show up here today, and I want to extend again my full support and thanks, and want to actually ask Dr. Wolf some questions about the book. Can I? Now that you got me fired up, let me ask you. I'm a doctor of medicine. You're a doctor, I assume, of philosophy, right? Of poetry. Even better, of poetry. What would motivate a doctor of poetry to not only write a book, but basically organize an army, the Daily Clout, and everybody you work with, to take this on.
Thank you, Dr. McCullough. Can everyone hear me? And I will answer that. But first I want to say this is the man who took time out of his unbelievably busy, demanding life to text me the things I needed to do to save a loved one from COVID. And one of the very simple things he said was this nasal rinse, which is like so low tech to even describe. She was fine within a day. And I remember him saying Pakistan was saved from COVID by a nasal rinse. And I'm like, this is the biggest headline that no news outlet is producing. This is surely bizarre. So I sincere, you have such a place in our family's hearts. And I also want to say that I'm so happy because, and this is going to get to the book, I promise. There are so many heroes in this room and so many heroines. I can't name all of you, but Dr. Rish, Supriya, there are 10 firefighters from DC and New York here, first responders. So honored to have you. Janine Eunice is fighting at the NCRA to sue people for discriminating against people. She's right here. We have Jan Jekielek, whom we mentioned. We have my associate editor, Kate Melgoza. We have my partner, my comrade in arms, I should say, Craig Klein, who helped launch the volunteers effort. We have our lawyer, Dina Sachs. We have so many brave people and courageous people and impressive people. And I really felt joy when I was seeing all of my friends and Captain Bannon, because I feel like community is where we can heal this extraordinary universal rupture in not just the world, but in the collective soul. But of all the people, I really want to highlight this tiny woman at the back of the room with blonde hair. Yes, you, Amy Kelly, who is, do not be fooled. She is a general extraordinaire who has marshaled 3,000 RNs, physicians, biostatisticians, lab clinicians, medical fraud investigators. And 250 lawyers, and they're producing shocking, earth-shattering reports continually. And George Smith is here, also one of the volunteer lawyers, and we're so grateful to have you also. I just wanted to say that. To answer your question, our books really are dovetailing, because it really isn't about the medicine, my book. Thank God we've got doctors like you and the distinguished physicians here for that. My book is about, like, the core argument is that a series of bad actors, ranging from the World Economic Forum to the Chinese Communist Party to big tech companies, really only using pharma as a proxy, exploited the pandemic with the help of many of my colleagues here. Central to their efforts was the suppression of their competition, which is the things that human beings can do together that technology cannot yet do. And so look at pandemic policy. It doesn't make sense medically, but it absolutely makes sense if you are a tech company and you want to kill off your competition that you can't compete with. For instance, what do masks do? They keep us from doing this very human thing of expressing our emotions, smiling, and communicating verbally. Like literally, if you asked an AI program, what is a human being, you would get the things that pandemic policies prohibited. Worship, dance, culture, people talking to each other, people touching each other, play, theater, concerts, in-person town halls, all of the things humans do together. Technology really, we're propagandized to believe that we're second-rate versions of technology, but really a book or two people talking in a town hall meeting, these are technologies that are so far beyond what digital platforms can manage. So by suppressing those, by keeping us separate, by killing off all the ways we aggregate, you want me to speak up? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. By killing off all the ways that human beings do human things together and draw strength from each other, and especially teach the next generation to be human, by killing off especially the Americanness in our children and the Westernness in our children, like even down to their body language. Don't go more than 3 feet closer to your friend. Don't smile at your friend. What does a 10-year-old do? I have a 10-year-old stepson. They can't see their friends' faces. They race home to get on their devices so they can see the faces of their friends. So I walk the reader through how tech companies are up, Google, Nintendo, Amazon, Microsoft, 30% between 2020 and 2022. And that's just one aspect. The Chinese Communist Party has, and I've been very influenced by people here like Frank Gaffney and Reggie Littlejohn, really distinguished leaders in their field. The CCP has been targeting American and Western culture for decades. And my husband, by the way, who's deeply knowledgeable about this, Brian O'Shea, I didn't know about this, but the CCP wants to suppress American hegemony. And so when you see these weird things that Representative Sampson talked about, like why would they be flooding porn into our children's schools? Why would they be doing these bizarre things? My book argues that there's a completely focused corrosion of the culture of America and of the culture of the West and overall of the culture of humanity. I can go into a little more detail in terms of how they did this. For instance, restrictions historically of populations always precede theft. So Jim Crow laws restrict where people can go, where they can live, how they can engage in commerce. Jews were restricted in Vichy France, in Germany in the 19th and early 20th century. Native Americans were restricted in the 19th century to where they could go, what kind of trade they could engage in. And you saw when Native Americans are restricted, it gave an advantage to the Europeans who could go anywhere and trade, European settlers trade anywhere. So historically, restrictions like the ones we lived through in the lockdown years always are preparatory to stealing people's land and assets. And so my argument this time around is the people who were targeted were all of humanity. And the goal is to create a post-humane society. And this was before the horrific news that Amy Kelly's leadership broke with the volunteers of how the vaccines target children and fetuses and lactation and gestation, and really raise an existential question about whether the human species can continue to reproduce itself. But it is a war against the human. And I'm the granddaughter, I don't say that lightly, I'm the granddaughter of a woman who lost 9 brothers and sisters in the Holocaust. I know that people in 1933 and 34 were thinking, surely this can't be, I've never seen anything like this. And a lot of people were thinking, it can't be because I've never seen anything like this. But we are in a time where we have to face that these oligarchs are waging war against all of humanity, and with a cold-heartedness that those of us who are still empathic can't begin to imagine, and that we are there, and the only way we can survive is to understand it, which is the argument I make, and stay one step ahead of it. And I want to thank Captain Bannon and her dad, because after having been deplatformed for saying things that were true in 5 different platforms, they are the ones who gave me a voice. Thank you.
You know, I said on my Joe Rogan interview, which set all records and surpassed Elon Musk, but also almost took down Joe Rogan, I said the truth is like kryptonite. And I can tell you personally, I've never been challenged. I've never had somebody come up to me and face to face and say, Dr. McCullough, I disagree with you, and here's the reason why, and engage in a conversation. Never. I've never even had a challenging email. We are living in a world where fear and censorship and threat of reprisal reign, but it's done in a way where it's always shooting from the sidelines. It's always from sources that you can't put your sights on. And I can tell you most of it is in the open, and it's linked to what's called the stakeholders. There are stakeholders here that really have a plan. And a big part of the plan is through information technology. I want to see a show of hands. How many here have experienced censorship or the fear of reprisal for something you've said?
Thank you.
You know, I asked the same question on the floor of the U.S. Senate in the Kennedy caucus room, not too far away from here. 80% of people raised their hands, and they were doctors, scientists, nurses, patients, and attorneys. And I can tell you, Joe Rogan, to his credit, put out a video, and he said, where you see censorship, right behind that is your loss of freedom.
I think we should, according to my publisher's glance, turn it to the Q&A. Yes?
Also doing a little telethon, radiothon update, but your Bodies of Others is now number 12 on Amazon, which is incredible. So thank you to Captain Man, the War Room audience has been a big part, but everyone. So anyone that's got a Twitter following or Getter following or any sort, and maybe we're a few tweets in this room away from number one. Dr. McCullough and John Leake's book is at 433, so you're getting up there. So buy their book, buy Bobby Kennedy's book, buy all of them, and let's send them all. I mean, we want all these books telling the truth on this, what happened. Exactly. So we have time for a few questions and go ahead. And come up to the mic so that they can hear you on.
This woman saves babies in China and saves women in China, and you're an absolute advocate for human rights in China.
So Naomi, I am so indebted to you. Okay, I guess I'll turn. Go ahead. So you had said I was an influence on you, but you've been an incredible influence on me. And it was your video on YouTube that I watched where you sounded the alarm about the vaccine passport that actually set me from, I mean, I still save babies in China, but now my major, most of my energies are with Frank Gaffney with something called Stop Vaccine Passports. So my question for you is this. We all understand that the vaccine makes no sense, and that that's one size fits all. It makes no sense whatsoever. And a needle in every arm is obviously benefiting the vaccine companies, etc. But is it also the pretext for the vaccine passport, which would enable the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization to install a surveillance system that would mirror the China social credit system, which is a tool of mass surveillance and total control? That's my question for you.
Thank you, Reggie. Thank you for the work you do. Isn't it a good feel? Like, when's the last time you felt this happy in a room full of human beings? Seriously, I feel just so happy that people who are brave and compassionate are in a room as opposed to people who are colluding with evil without blinking an eye. But anyway, right? Okay, I will answer. Yes. So Reggie, 1,000%. I mean, speaking as CEO of a tech company, it could be a piece of paper, right? You could have a piece of paper that says, I'm vaccinated. Why is it not a piece of paper? I can tell you. There are three models, business models in tech for the most part. One is eyeballs, your attention. One is data. And one is subscriptions. And so the reason they want it to be digital, and I called this in March of, 2021, the video that you're describing, all of which came true, is that with a digital version, you can turn it off. And that's exactly what happened. And you can load other functionalities onto it. And so I knew, and I'm not even the developer, as Craig knows, I don't even barely talk to developers. He's the one who talks to the developers. But even I, with my English degree, know, running a tech company, that it takes half an hour of coding to add to your digital vaccine passport your everything you've said on social media, with a number to say whether you're conservative or liberal, all of your credit scores, all of your health records, what your networks are, what your social networks are. And the other thing is it can geolocate you. Brian showed me from his work that there's software that creates networks of people where you can see what people's relationships are to each other. So when you scan a QR code, which we're all encouraged to do because you can get germs from touching surfaces, which turns out to be not true, which I explain in the book. But the New York Times went with it. When you scan that QR code and you're sitting at a table with your friends, software, it's getting uploaded to a central database, and software is being generated basically to identify who all your friends are. And also these databases, to go to an Ivy League graduation last weekend, they wanted me to upload whether I was vaccinated or not, right? Which makes no sense. It's the Ivy League. But no, reason has left us. But what does make sense, as you point out, is that with that database, which we've been fighting at Daily Clout with his 5 Freedoms campaign, and Representative Sampson was an inspiration for us, we managed to keep these laws from passing in 33 states for vaccine databases. Thank you. Thank you. And by the way, I didn't mean to omit one of the most important people here is Leslie Manukian, sitting two women away from you, whose team successfully fought the Biden administration and won to take the masks off of people on transportation. But the goal of these databases is exactly so that there will be a social credit system. And you see it in Israel and you see it in Europe. Friends of mine in France say that you can't even get on public transportation without your green pass. And more is to come. Same with digital currency. So absolutely, you're right. And it has taken a hard fight at the state level to protect us in America. We're not out of the woods yet. But you've been so instrumental, and so is Frank Gaffney, in holding this at bay.
Any more questions? Dr. Flowers?
Hi, my name's Dr. Chris Flowers. I'm one of the War Room Posse volunteers. I lead Team 1. Say hi to Brooke Jackson. And I think, no, maybe not. I was hoping she might, but never mind. I also lead Team 3 as well, so I'm sort of a joint leader of Team 3. But I want to just basically come here just to give our appreciation to Naomi for firing us up. Number one, my big thing is myocarditis, because I did cardiology before I went into breast cancer research. Yeah, cool. And I'm obviously very, very concerned because I was dealing with breast cancer screening where you have to balance risk versus harms. What are good versus bad? Everything's in life is a balance. But when you're talking about vaccinating children and infants, what is the benefit to them? There is only the potential of harms. And what the researchers have found while we've been going through the Pfizer documents is the amount of problems that have occurred from this spike protein, and how that was even developed even with AstraZeneca, which was a so-called conventional vaccine using an adenovirus in monkeys. But it was encoded to produce the spike protein, again, which is the thing that causes the damage. So we're going to have to deal with all of this. But my main goal really is just to pay tribute to Naomi, to bring us all together. But the War Room Posse, we are fired up. I mean, we're big fans. Everyone's loving on Captain Bannon over here. She sits